So, here's an interesting one. And my god, is it finally good to see an actual good movie? Jesus, the last two are other crap. Out of all the Phase 1 movies, this is considered the worst of the bunch. And while I can see the major complaints, I ultimately just love this one, and so let's talk about the plot. Following the events of the original, Tony has learned that the arc reactor keeping him alive and powering his armor is also slowly poisoning him, and he needs to find a cure for this. At the same time, a man named Ivan Vanko wants revenge against the Starks due to the death of his father, Anton Vanko. Attacking Tony at a racetrack, he's beaten and taken in by Justin Hammer, who wants to use Vanko to make him some armors of his own. At the same time, during one of his drunken rages, James Rose steals the spare Ironman armor and brings it to the military because they've been harping Tony for the armor. Vanko makes a small number of armor drones for Hammer and customizes James's armor into the War Machine armor. This is all part of his endgame, where he plans to deliver a masterstroke, getting his revenge on the Starks and dragging Tony down even further than he's ever been before. Oh boy, that's a lot of stuff going on at once. So, sounds like a lot of stuff is going on at once, and yes it is, but honestly speaking, I wouldn't say they don't pull it off. They do manage to do it, if only by the skin of their teeth. Yes, a lot of this movie does a lot of Avengers build up. There's a whole lot of Avengers build up, and while this is kind of annoying that the Black Widow just be there, it ultimately works in the grand scheme of things. So let's talk about the changes. So we have Ivan Vanko, who is both Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo in this movie. In the comics, the only Vanko to be a Whiplash was the one made to be a character for the movie for Iron Man vs. Whiplash. Aside from that, no Whiplash has been a Vanko. I mean, I think that one was named Ivan, but he wasn't a Russian guy named Ivan Vanko. But Ivan Vanko has connection to the Crimson Dynamo, a longtime Iron Man enemy, because of his father, Anton Vanko. Anton Vanko was the name of the very first Crimson Dynamo, who became a good guy and later died, and someone sold the armor to become the new Crimson Dynamo to continue fighting Iron Man. His son being the villain makes a bit of sense taking up his role, although I do wish they would have folded Whiplash underneath the character as well. If only just so we could have more villains for potential Iron Man movies. Then we have War Machine. I do admit, I do love the look, and I do love that it was James Rhodes being annoyed by Tony's drunken antics that led him to just taking the armor. I also love the fact that, again, he just stole the damn armor. It's kind of funny that he just stole it and Tony never's like, "Hey Rhodes, remember that time you stole my armor?" Like, Tony's so chill about it, he's like, "Here, you're War Machine now." And yes, the changing of actors to Don Cheadle, and it honestly feels weird to watch the movies back to back knowing that it's a different actor. Ultimately, Don Cheadle does a good job with the role he's given, and does really good in the later Avengers movies when he does make cameos, and I can honestly ignore the fact, but it is really hard to watch Iron Man 1 and not remember the fact that a new actor is playing that role, and it's never brought up again. As for Black Widow, yes, it does feel weird for her to just show up, but considering her role as a secret agent, it makes sense. And I'm just gonna throw a little bit of comic book nerd at you and say that Black Widow did also originally premiere in an Iron Man comic, so it doubly makes sense for her to just be there, outside of it just being Avengers foreshadowing. Now, as for the post-credit sequence, it's really good setup to Thor. You know, the Thor's hammer just landing on Earth and Nick Fury being contacted about it. It also leads to what is considered one of the best Marvel short films. A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend you take a look at it because it's a pretty good short film, and it explains why Phil Coulson is such a big name right now. So yeah, it's not as good as the first one. Honestly, all you say that about a lot of sequels, but it's still an enjoyable movie, and it still works for the grand scheme of things for the Marvel film universe. So, till next time.